The PlayStation Showcase has just wrapped up, and honestly, it was a pretty damn epic set of announcements. I think this is probably the most hyped conference from Sony, I guess, since the launch of the PlayStation 5, or since the announcement of the PlayStation 5. To be fair, they've only had a couple of small state of plays since then, so I guess it kind of makes sense that this would be the next big thing from them, and as this was kind of like their equivalent to an E3, it's probably proportionately exciting. I want to talk about some of the biggest announcements from this conference and kind of get my thoughts and opinions on the overall thing. I'll do a bit of a brief recap on what was featured there as well, but I'll focus more on the stuff that was kind of the most exciting announcements from this thing. By the way, thanks to everyone who came and watched live on YouTube. It was a really fun event to watch with all you guys and kind of get hype together. Let's start with the big one. I think the biggest thing in this conference was God of War Ragnarok's trailer. I think they did a phenomenal job showing this off. I was really worried how they were going to finally show off God of War Ragnarok. Given we've been teased this game for such a long time, we knew it was coming for quite a few years now. Last year they said it was coming out this year, and we all kind of knew it wasn't because we still hadn't seen the trailer. I think all we got was a tease and maybe a title treatment, and that was all until today, where we finally got gameplay of the game, which was phenomenal. I'm glad they didn't just show a cinematic or something kind of top line. They actually went deep into it and showed us real in-game or in-engine gameplay, and hats off to Sony and Santa Monica for doing that. I think they did a fantastic job. You guys know I love God of War, so I'm always going to gush about anything God of War related or Kratos related. It's just epic to see this game finally coming to fruition, and we're going to get the next chapter in the God of War story. It's interesting seeing Atreus having aged up a little bit from the previous game, looking more like a teen or a preteen type character instead of a kid like he was. He's not as much of a boy anymore, and even Kratos looking much older and scragglier in this one too, which is interesting to see. It means he's aging, which scares me a little bit. It does worry me a little bit for what might happen to Kratos in this game. He's looking old. You know, he's not spry and young anymore, defeating Greek gods in Athens. He's looking old and scraggly, and it's cool to see them do that with the character and age a character up, but it's also very scary. It's a similar thing they did to Nathan Drake in Uncharted 4 as well, and it made me just feel, I guess, old to a degree, which is I don't know, maybe that's an emotion they're trying to trigger from you as well. So God of War Ragnarok, we didn't get a release date for it, which is unfortunate. They did confirm the game is coming out on both PS5 and PS4 though, so we're going to be getting it on both platforms, which I guess is a good thing at the end of the day. It means people who don't have a PS5 yet will still be able to experience and play the game themselves, which I do think is good. It means it's more inclusive for everybody. I guess it's a shame it does hold back the game from being an entirely next-gen game, but it's not as much of a big deal, I think. I prefer that more people get to play it personally, than, in my opinion, that's where I sit on the fence on that one. God of War, I think, was the big thing for me. Another couple of big announcements was the SpiderMan II trailer. I think that was, well, more of a teaser. It was more of a cinematic teaser showing off both Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man Miles Morales, so featuring both of them in this game, probably both as protagonists, I'm guessing, maybe that you can switch between in this game, the way they kind of showed off the two of them. It was just a top-line cinematic though, but they revealed the villain of the new Spider-Man game, aptly called Spider-Man II, which featured Venom, and they showed a brief sort of clip of that with a voiceover for Venom too. So thought this might happen given the hype around Spider-Man at the moment, and given how popular Spider-Man is in terms of search. I think Spider-Man No Way Home, the trailer itself, amassed more views than the Avengers trailer did in its first week or first days on the internet, and it literally broke the internet. So I'm not shocked that they showed Spider-Man here. As a commodity, he is such a popular IP, it makes sense for him to be featured here so prominently. They did say 2023 as the release date at the end of this though, which is somewhat disheartening. It's a long way away, although we're at the end of 2021 now, so it's realistically probably going to be only about a year and a half away if it comes out sort of towards the back of 2023, which is probably where I'm expecting to place it. Very excited though for them to be showing off a new Spider-Man game in here. I think that was a good move from Sony. I think it shows it's on the table. It gives you a bit of a picture of what's to come. Personally, in these conferences, I like it when they give you a trailer with gameplay and a release date, just to sort of show you something tangible, that it's coming sooner rather than later. I don't like it when they give you a vague date, but for Spider-Man, I'll give it a pass because it is a very sort of hype and exciting game, and I think we need that as PlayStation gamers at the moment to know what's on the agenda, especially because up until this point, we really only knew about Horizon, Gran Turismo, and God of War, and so we're sort of seeing things a little bit beyond that. Even further beyond Spider-Man, and this was the biggest shock of the entire thing, was a trailer for Wolverine developed by Insomniac, the same guys who are making Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ratchet & Clank. This one here came out of nowhere. I definitely wasn't anticipating a trailer for Wolverine. I would never have predicted that Sony would have acquired the rights to make or publish an exclusive game based on Wolverine or X-Men, so very cool there. We didn't see much. We just saw a little bit of the back of Logan, and then the claws coming out to signify it was Wolverine. I was genuinely shocked by this. I did not think, if you'd asked me, this would never have come up on a predictions list ever for me, because I just never thought this was an IP they would have touched or even had access to. So obviously Sony and Marvel have got a strong relationship going now, given their work on the Spider-Man franchise, and especially Insomniac's work on the Spider-Man franchise. So very, very cool there. We have no date on that, no more information on that, except for there is a Wolverine game being developed by Insomniac and published by Sony, and it exists. That's kind of all we know about it at this point. Who knows when, where, how, but my best guess will be this will be after Spider-Man. It will be after Spider-Man, unless it's going to be a shorter experience akin to Miles Morales, but I just don't feel like they'll do that. It's a new IP for Sony, it's a new IP for Marvel as well, tackling this franchise and bringing some new life into Wolverine, so I think probably going to be something they put a lot of care into, and we won't see it for quite a while yet. But I did say during the conference, it's interesting seeing how hard Insomniac are working for Sony since they've been acquired, pumping out games. You know, at launch of PS5 they had Miles Morales and Ratchet. Now they're working on 2 additional games in SpiderMan II and Wolverine. These guys are really earning their paycheck over at Sony. Those were the massive announcements, I think, but there's a few other things that I was really excited for as well. Gran Turismo 7 got a new trailer featured here too, and a release date of March 2022, so it's coming out in about 6 months time, which is awesome. I think March is a really great window for GT7. It's coming out very shortly after Horizon comes out, and the game looked absolutely amazing. Gran Turismo always looks good on consoles, and racing games are always really good ways for publishers and developers to show off what their hardware is capable of. It's kind of what Microsoft always do with the Forza games, really pushing the boundaries, and GT7 looks like it's doing that. It looks like a return to form for Gran Turismo after Gran Turismo Sport featured a ton of vehicles, a ton of cars and customization, liveries and things like that in the trailer, but it also just showed some really cool effect with the rain splashing off the windshield of the cars as they were racing, and then the sun rays hitting the cars as well. I do really think it's going to be something special and exciting, and I think it's going to just look absolutely amazing on the PlayStation 5. So very excited for that, and excited to see it coming out in March as well, which is pretty damn soon. The other trailer that really took me by surprise was Forspoken by Square Enix. This is a game that they had revealed as like Project Atheia, I think, a couple of years ago during maybe the PS5's announcement event, and I'd sort of dismissed it thinking it's a long way away, don't need to have this one on my radar for now. It doesn't even have a name at this point, but the gameplay trailer for this was really kind of something special, I think. It combined a mixture of fantasy or high fantasy elements with sci-fi and modern day elements. I've said this in many videos, I'm a sucker for when they combine these two genres together to create something weird, and Forspoken looked like it was doing that. It had some really cool grappling mechanics in there, reminded me a lot of Attack on Titan. It had some really cool hack and slash style mechanics, and the cinematics just looked great. The voiceover as well was done really well. I do wonder who the voice actress is going to be for the character in the game. I recognize the voice, but I don't know who it is yet, so excited to find out more about this one. But that has definitely risen on my list of games that I'm excited for tenfold. Like it's now one of the top games that I'm looking forward to next year. It didn't get an actual release date, it just said spring 2022, so we'll be seeing it, I guess, somewhere between that March and July window of next year, which is not even that far away, honestly. It's only about 6 months away now. It's a Square Enix published game, so generally those games come out earlier in the year, between that sort of February, March, April window, so we're probably going to see it somewhere in there. But the game itself looked awesome. I'm really excited for this game now, but definitely on my radar of things that I want to play now. Apart from that, we saw a trailer for Alan Wake Remastered, which I was a little bit surprised about. I did think Alan Wake would feature, but I thought it would feature more in the terms of an Alan Wake 2 announcement being published by Sony. It's kind of what I initially thought was going to happen, so a bit surprised to have just seen the Alan Wake Remaster. It is very welcome. I am a fan of Alan Wake. I'm a fan of that psychological horror, Silent Hill I guess, Silent Hill style of gameplay or of games. So I think this is very, very cool, and it's potentially a way of them testing the waters to see if there really is a lot of demand for Alan Wake 2. We didn't see enough of it to determine whether or not the remaster is high quality or not. I really couldn't tell from the live stream, but I'm excited to play that. And it's coming out on October 5th, so it's literally a month away before this game comes out. So definitely keen to check that out when it launches on October 5th. And still wild that that game is coming to PlayStation when it was actually published and funded by Microsoft on the 360 way back in the day. Hopefully it does tease into an Alan Wake 2 at some point though. Those were the major ones from me. We did see some more gameplay of Tokyo Ghostwire, which looked really good. It's definitely doing some wacky stuff there. It gave me a lot of Metal Gear Solid vibes and Death Stranding vibes just for how weird it is. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Kojima style game, even though it's not. No release date on this one whatsoever though, so who knows when it's coming. It was supposed to be this year. Obviously it's been pushed out until next year or even beyond potentially. We have no idea. We got a trailer for an Uncharted remaster, including Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4. A little bit weird considering you can play both of those games already on PS5 if you have the PS4 versions. They didn't really give us a good reason for why or what's been remastered or enhanced in these games, but I guess that's just kind of what Sony's going to do, and we're probably going to see remasters or enhanced versions of games dropping like this. Same way we did for Ghost of Tsushima and how we're seeing for Death Stranding. I'm guessing it's going to be along the same lines as that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same thing for Days Gone, a God of War at some point as well. Honestly, that's probably all the major announcements in here. We saw some more trailers for Deathloop, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Guardians of the Galaxy, all games that are kind of imminent, and we've seen quite a bit about them before, so don't want to talk too much about those. We got a teaser for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Remastered coming out at some point, a trailer for the new Borderlands spin-off game, and then a couple of more minor announcements in there as well. But that was the majority of stuff in there. I do think they did a good job, though. I think this was a really solid conference from Sony. I would give this one a pretty solid sort of 8 out of 10, I would say. Maybe even a 9 out of 10. I think they did a really good job. The only thing that they could have done better would have been, like I said, more actual release dates. But, you know, given where the world's at the moment with COVID and everything else happening, it makes sense that, you know, they can't be as firm on when games may be coming out or when we actually might be getting them. All these guys are probably still working remotely. It does present its own set of challenges for Sony and for the developers as well. So I think they're doing their best, or the best that they can do with the resources that they have available. So we'll give them a bit of a pass there. I think they did a good job. In terms of this being a replacement for E3, I think they did a really solid job for it. I think it was a good conference. I think they hyped it up. They hyped it up sufficiently, and they delivered on that too, which is what's most important. They've learned a lot from their State of Play events, and they've gotten a lot better at presenting what's going to be featured and what's not going to be featured. There was a few things that were absent, like Horizon and stuff like that, which I did think would be in there, but I guess we've probably almost already seen everything there is to see for Horizon, so it's not that unusual. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy this conference? Was it a 8 out of 10 for you guys, or was it less or more? I'm really curious to get everyone's thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know which games you're most excited for from this conference as well. For me personally, it's God of War. It has to be God of War. The game looked amazing, and we saw actual gameplay for it, which is great. It looked so good as well. I cannot wait to play that game whenever it finally comes out. Let me know what your picks were in the comments down below. Go and leave a like if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you guys all in the comment section down below. Patreons for September. I want to give you a warm thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to each and every one of you for keeping all the lights on here at Platinum Trophy HQ by supporting me either via Patreon or by a channel membership below. You'll see your names over here next to me if you are a Patreon or a channel member. Thank you each and every one of you. If you also want to support the channel and help keep the lights on over here, you can do that by hitting the link in the description down below and joining me on Patreon, or clicking the join button on YouTube just down below, and you get access to emotes and some other exclusive things there as well. Every single cent counts. Thank you all for the encouragement and continuing to support this channel so I can continue making great content. Thanks for all those watching, as well as all my extra special supporters.